I never thought I'd find myself in the middle of someone else's relationship, much less my best friend's. But life has a strange way of putting you in places you never intended to go. Sienna and I had been best friends since college. Loud, loyal, and inseparable. When she started dating Noah, I cheered her on from the sidelines. He was charming in a detached kind of way. Smart, quiet, a little too polished for her wild spirit. But she liked him, so I played along. It had been nearly a year since they moved in together. First, everything seemed perfect. Sienna would text me selfies with him, gushing about weekend getaways and dinner dates. But slowly the messages changed. He's distant lately. He doesn't talk to me anymore. I think he's bored of us. She invited me over more often, and I noticed the cracks for myself. Noah barely acknowledged me when I walked in. He spent most evenings in his home office, buried in his laptop. Sienna would cook something, pour too much wine, and talk about how she missed him, how she missed them. I listened, nodded, and tried to make her laugh, even when I could see she was falling apart a little more each time. One Friday night she called. Her voice was trembling, halfway between frustration and sadness. "Can you come over? I don't want to be alone tonight." When I arrived, Noah was already gone. He said he needed space. "Just walked out," she muttered, tossing her phone onto the couch. "Didn't even say when he'll be back." She poured wine without asking. I sat beside her, our legs brushing as we sank into the couch cushions. She played music low in the background, something soft and nostalgic. I watched her stare at nothing, fingers tight around the glass. "I don't know what I'm doing wrong," she said, her voice cracking. "I try to talk to him, I try to be patient, but he's just not there. Not with me." I didn't know how to respond, so I just put my hand over hers. She looked down at our hands, then up at me with red-rimmed eyes. "Do you think I'm hard to love?" That question twisted in my chest. "No, Sienna. You're just with someone who doesn't know how to love you right." Her laugh was sad and short. "Sometimes I think you know me better than he ever will." The silence between us stretched out, dense and heavy. I could feel something shift, subtle but undeniable. Her eyes didn't leave mine. The room felt smaller somehow, warmer. She leaned her head on my shoulder, and I didn't move. Her hair smelled like lavender. My heart was beating too loud. "I'm tired of being lonely, even when he's in the same room," she whispered. "It's worse than being alone." I wanted to say something comforting. Instead, I turned slightly, resting my cheek against her head. Her fingers curled around my arm. I should have left. I should have walked away from that couch, from that moment, from what I was starting to feel. But I didn't. We sat like that for a long time. At one point she looked up at me again, closer now. Her lips parted like she was about to speak, but no words came out. She just stared into me through me. I knew that look. I'd seen it before, in different places with different people. But not here. Not with her. Her hand moved to my cheek, soft and hesitant. Our faces were inches apart. "Sienna. I'm sorry," she said, and then she kissed me. It wasn't frantic or clumsy. It was quiet, full of confusion and pain. For a second I kissed her back, and then I pulled away. We shouldn't." "I know," she said, eyes wet. "I know." She stood up quickly, backing away. "I shouldn't have done that. Sorry. Forget it happened." I nodded, grabbing my jacket. The air between us was thick and choking. "I should go." She didn't stop me. As I stepped into the cool night air, my heart thudded against my ribs like a warning. I told myself it was a mistake, a one-time thing. But somewhere deep down I already knew. It wasn't over. A week passed. I avoided Sienna's calls, her messages, even her usual funny memes that always used to make me smile. Every time my phone buzzed with her name, guilt swelled in my chest. I hadn't told anyone what happened that night, not because I wanted to protect her, but because I didn't even understand it myself. She kissed me, and I kissed her back. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't even know what I wanted it to mean. All I knew was that my heart wasn't steady anymore when I thought about her. Then came the message. Dinner tonight. Just us three. Noah's making an effort. Please come. I need you there. I stared at it for too long. And despite everything inside me screaming not to go, I replied, okay. That evening when I arrived, the apartment felt eerily normal. Too normal. Sienna greeted me with a bright smile that didn't touch her eyes, wearing lipstick too red and laughter too forced. Noah stood in the kitchen, chopping vegetables like nothing had ever happened. Chloe, he nodded. Glad you made it. I forced a smile and walked in. The air was thick with tension, but no one addressed it. We talked. Sienna laughed too loudly at Noah's dry jokes. He smiled at her like he was trying to convince himself he still loved her. And I sat there, playing a part in a dinner that wasn't meant for healing. It was meant for pretending. After dessert, Sienna disappeared into the bathroom. Noah offered to help me clear the dishes. We moved in silence for a few minutes before he finally spoke. You've been distant lately. I froze for a second, then kept drying the plate. Been busy. Work stuff. He looked at me. Is something wrong between you and Sienna? I shook my head too quickly. No. Why would there be? He set down the glass in his hand. I don't know. Yes. I feel like I'm losing her. I met his eyes. There was a rare crack in his usually unreadable expression. I'm not good at this, he admitted. Relationships. Keep messing it up. I know she needs more than I'm giving. But I don't know how to give it. I didn't know what to say, so I stayed quiet. He leaned against the counter, exhaling deeply. Do you think she still wants to be with me? That question. It echoed so closely to the one Sienna had asked me. She wants to feel loved, I finally said. And seen. Noah nodded slowly. And I guess I make her feel invisible. Just then, Sienna returned to the kitchen. The moment between us vanished. She smiled, eyes scanning our faces. You two look serious. Noah was just telling me about work, I lied quickly. She didn't press. Later that night, as I gathered my bag to leave, Sienna followed me to the door. Walk with me, she asked softly. We stepped into the hallway. The elevator buzzed faintly in the distance, and all I could hear was her heels clicking against the tiles and my heartbeat thudding in my ears. I'm sorry, she said, looking down. About last time. I know. I just felt something. And maybe I imagined it, but I thought you felt it too. I didn't answer. She took a step closer. He can't reach me anymore, Chloe. Not emotionally, not even physically. It's like he's here but not really here. The other night we tried. And he just couldn't. He shut down. Said he was tired. That it wasn't me. But it always feels like it is me. Her voice cracked. And then I thought about you. How you always listen. How you see me. Sienna. My voice was barely a whisper. You're hurting. Get that. But I don't want to be the person you turn to just because he's failing. Her eyes glistened. You think this is just about him. I think we're both confused. She reached out and gently held my wrist. Then let's be confused together. I didn't move. I didn't say no. I didn't say anything. And then she kissed me again. This time I didn't pull away. It wasn't the kind of kiss born out of revenge or drunken heat. It was slow, full of pain and softness. Her hands trembled against my face. Mine curled around her waist. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew this was the moment we crossed the point of no return. But my body didn't stop. My heart didn't protest. When she pulled away, neither of us spoke. There was nothing left to say. I walked out into the night knowing everything had changed. Again. It happened. I didn't plan it. Neither did she. But that night, after the second kiss in the hallway, after I walked away and sat in my car for 15 minutes gripping the wheel, I turned around. I walked back up the stairs. I knocked on her door. And she opened it like she had been standing there, waiting, breath caught in her chest. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. The apartment was dim, quiet. The soft glow of the kitchen light painted shadows across her face as she led me wordlessly to the bedroom. My hands shook. So did hers. This wasn't a moment of lust or fantasy. It was something messier, something raw. It was 1,000 things we couldn't say out loud colliding in one moment we couldn't undo. That night, I touched her like I'd always been meant to. Gently, slowly, like I was afraid she'd disappear if I held her too tight. She clung to me like I was the only thing holding her together. And when it was over, we lay tangled in silence. Her fingers ran lightly down my arm, but her eyes stared at the ceiling, blank and full of storms. I whispered, "What now?" She didn't answer. Morning light poured into the room too fast, too bright. I rose quietly, got dressed, and stood at the edge of the bed. She watched me, eyes tired, expression unreadable. "I should go before he comes back," I said. She nodded. "Yeah." I opened the door, paused, then turned. "Do you regret it?" She looked down at the sheets clutched in her hands. "I don't know." I walked out without another word. The cool air outside bit into my skin like punishment. That should have been the end. But real life never wraps up in a neat little bow. The next few days were torture. I ignored her texts. I drowned myself in work. But my mind kept returning to that night. Every second of it, every glance, every whisper. What made it worse was knowing I'd betrayed someone who had no idea. Not Noah. Not yet. Then, like clockwork, he showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find him standing there with a look I hadn't seen on his face before. Not anger. Not confusion. Certainty. "Can I come in?" he asked. I nodded slowly, heart crawling up my throat. He stepped inside, stood in the middle of the room, and looked around like he was trying to find something familiar. Then his eyes landed on mine. "How long has it been going on?" I felt like the floor beneath me cracked. "What?" "Don't play dumb, Chloe. I'm not here to scream. I'm not here to fight. I just want the truth." I swallowed hard. It wasn't planned. It just happened. He let out a dry laugh, more sad than bitter. "That's what people always say. It just happened. Like hearts don't have breaks. Like boundaries don't exist. I never meant to hurt you, Noah. But you did." Silence. He turned toward the door but paused. "You were supposed to be her best friend. I trusted you. I trusted myself too," I whispered. "And I failed both of us." He didn't say anything else. Just walked out and closed the door behind him. I collapsed onto the couch, hands over my face. The shame didn't feel sharp. Felt deep. Heavy. Like it would never lift. Later that week I saw Sienna again. She showed up outside my apartment, tears streaking her face. "He left," she said. "He packed a bag and left." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to comfort her. The other part still choking on the guilt of what we'd done. She reached for my hand. Pulled back. "Sienna. Maybe we both needed to break something to realize we weren't whole to begin with." Her lip trembled. "So that's it." "I don't know. Maybe it has to be." She nodded slowly, tears welling again. Then she turned and walked away. And just like that I lost them both. Closing lines, narration style. Betrayal doesn't always feel like a sharp knife. Sometimes it feels like a quiet unraveling. Like standing in the middle of everything you thought you understood, and realizing you don't recognize any of it anymore. I didn't mean to fall, but I did. And now, all I can do is live with the pieces.